Well, hey everybody, sadly, I'm here to do another tribute show. I'm only doing this just to pay respects to the late, great Robert Jack Wyndham, better known to wrestling fans as Blackjack Mulligan. He died at 73 years old. He left behind a few children and a few grandchildren, most notable children. This is all due respect to any children he has. Barry Windham and Kendall Windham, and he's also the grandfather of Bray Wyatt and Bo Dallas. I would have a pretty good idea that since he passed away, they probably will not be featured on the house shows. They will be given time to pay their respects. But that being said, I'm just going to give a brief little retrospective of his career. He obviously played football, as a lot of men did in his era. He was trained by the great Vern Gagne. When he started out in wrestling, Vern trained a who's who of talents, from Ric Flair to Sergeant Slaughter, Ricky Steamboat, a ton of people. I mean, it's like the list goes on and on. I could do like 3 shows based on the guys that Vern Gagne's trained. And Blackjack Mulligan was an exceptional athlete. He really had just this look of like Bobby Duncan and Stan Hansen. I mean, like, he had that look. And I mean, I'm getting this from Wiki and a couple other things, but that is a perfect example of how he looked. Bobby Duncan, not Bobby Duncan Jr., but Duncum, rather. He wrestled on a lot of the independents. He was a villain initially as Blackjack Mulligan. He had the look from a man named Blackjack Lanza, who he would later team up with. And he actually asked about copying the gimmick if that was okay. And, you know, Blackjack Lanza, who was wrestling in the AWA at the time, was like, had Bobby Heenan as manager. He, like, you know, there was a bit of heat. I mean, I think general heat between them, but I mean, not much. I mean, I don't think they hated each other. They seemed like they were a really, really good team, even if they did hate each other. He went to WWF. He was managed by the Grand Wizard, late great Grand Wizard. And he actually was identified as Big Bob Windham initially. And he wrestled against Pedro Morales, the great Pedro Morales, the first man to win the Intercontinental Championship and the WWF Championship, I believe. And I think he was a tag team champion, so he's the first Triple Crown winner that I'm aware of in the WWF era. And he seemed like he was getting a pretty good push, Mulligan that was. And then he got stabbed by some fan, like he got slashed in the thigh at the Boston Garden. Need 100 stitches. I mean, it was a big wound. And funny story, Gorilla Monsoon captures a fan, throws him to the police, the ringside police. They let him go. They think it's part of the show, which is absolutely ridiculous. Mulligan did the job for Bruno Sammartino, who was just coming off of his long 8-year WWF title reign, where Bruno Sammartino beat Blackjack Mulligan after just over a minute. Vince McMahon Sr. gave Mulligan very good compensation for his time and for to help him recuperate, as Vince McMahon Sr. was very, very good to the talents. Iron Sheik spoke highly of him. So many others spoke highly of him. Up until the time Vince McMahon Jr. bought it from his dad. So Blackjack Mulligan obviously was in no condition to really work a match, but this is a way to give Bruno a big win. Mulligan could get time off, and it went well. He left the WWF and actually went to the Midwest, and he tagged with Lanza to form the Blackjacks, one of the greatest tag teams, roughest, toughest tag teams of all time. Later, Bradshaw and Barry Windham would actually form the new Blackjacks. Limited success with them, but it was at least nice for Barry Windham to be able to carry on the tradition that his dad had, and at least they kind of looked like them. I mean, it was, you know, they had a rough and tough style to them, but anyway, they wrestled in the Midwest, and they wrestled in NWA affiliates, and won the WWF Tag Team Championship, the Worldwide Wrestling Federation Tag Team Championship in 1975. Mulligan wrestled Jim Crockett Promotions. He would be the NWA U.S. champion, and he would actually team with Ric Flair to win the NWA Mid-Atlantic Tag Team Championship, which was kind of interesting that both those guys, trained by Vern Gagne, met and were a tag team. I don't think that lasted long, but they were a team that certainly could be reckoned with. And Mulligan was, Blackjack Mulligan wrestled Andre the Giant, spoke very highly of him as far as his strength. He wrestled him all over the place and then wrestled in WWF. And he teamed with Dusty Rhodes in Florida. He was before Dusty really popped the territory in Jim Crockett Promotions. Even wrestled with his son, Barry Windham, in the very beginning of his career. Mulligan then was a full-time performer in WWF in 1984. He had an interview, a segment called Blackjack's Barbecue, which I don't really remember. I mean, I think there might be some of that on the WWE network. If not, I'm sure it'll be added soon. Blackjack Mulligan always had a good way of talking. Him and Lanza, I mean, they didn't say a lot, but when they said something, they got their point across. They usually had Bobby Heenan or Grand Wizard or somebody to say something for them, whether it was when they were singles wrestlers or tag team wrestlers. He teamed with, and under a mask, Mulligan teamed with Andre the Giant and Bill Eadie as the Machines. I mean, they were called Big Machines. It was like Giant Machine was Andre the Giant, duh. Well, actually, let's see. Mulligan was Big Machine, Andre was Giant Machine, and Super Machine was Bill Eadie. They were collectively known as the Machines. Those three guys actually competed in Japan for a number of years, and then actually won over the fans in WWF, so they teamed up for a while, and it gave guys more longevity as they were getting long in the tooth, and they were getting, age was starting to catch up with them, especially Andre, who was really starting to have back issues, and Mulligan was nearing the end of his career. He actually would, leave, he would go to Dallas and World Class Championship Wrestling, and he'd wrestle against Bruiser Brody, Chris Adams, so Kevin and Lance Von Erich, who was not a Von Erich. He was Kevin Vaughn, and he wasn't a bad wrestler. He just was not a Von Erich. But he was a respected booker in the South, and he had, I guess, like him and his son Kendall had counterfeiting charges against him in '89, and just spent some jail time. I'm not sure how long. It doesn't say that, and that's really not important. Mulligan and Lanza were inducted in WWE Hall of Fame the night before WrestleMania 22, inducted by Bobby Heenan before his health issues started to take hold. He penned a book, and he was also a defendant in the concussion the concussion lawsuit that happened in July of 2015. I know that part of that had to also do with other health issues that he had incurred, because he incurred a lot of health issues. And then, sadly, after being hospitalized in February of this year, he passed away today. I only saw a little bit of his career. I've seen more of it on WWE Network, as I've had to go back and watch some of the house shows and some of the other stuff where they've talked about the Blackjacks. I hope they had more of the house shows, more of the old footage. The Blackjacks were a hell of a team. Blackjack Mulligan stood out as being a hell of an athlete and producing some children that really have lent so much to the business. I mean, Barry Windham was a great wrestler. Kendall Windham was a good wrestler. And since then, Barry, Barry had kids, so Bray and, Bo are, carrying on the Windham family tradition. So it's really, really cool that the Windham family, continues to be part of the business, as they were a really good family, and still are. It's really sad about Blackjack Mulligan passing away. 73 years old, massive health issues. No one deserves to have those kind of health issues. So rest in peace, Blackjack Mulligan. I hope you're at peace now, and hey, watch your grandsons, tear the house down in WWE. Rest in peace.